Heartbreak has a way of hollowing the soul. It arrives like a storm, uninvited, and tears through the rooms of your heart, leaving behind broken glass and echoes of promises once whispered in the dark. You stand among the ruins, wondering how the pieces could ever fit together again, wondering how something that once felt eternal could dissolve into silence. There is an ache so deep it steals the breath from your chest, a heaviness that follows you into the night. And yet, within this wreckage lies the seed of a rebirth, for love lost does not mean love gone. It means love must be redirected, returned to the place it should have always lived, first within yourself. When someone leaves, they take with them the story you wrote together, but they cannot take your story. They cannot erase the chapters that existed before they entered, nor can they silence the voice that has always been yours. Heartbreak tells you that you are not enough, that something in you was too little or too much, that if you had been different, you would have been chosen. But loving yourself after heartbreak is the rebellion against those lies. It is standing in the mirror and saying, "I am enough as I am." It is choosing to believe that your worth is not defined by someone's inability to stay. The temptation after heartbreak is to close the heart, to seal it with iron and vow never to be hurt again. But when you close the heart, you do not only keep out pain, you also keep out joy. The work of loving yourself after heartbreak is not about building walls, it is about building foundations. It is about learning to stand on solid ground, so that no matter who comes or goes, you remain. It is about remembering that you are whole, even if someone else chose to walk away. You begin by tending to the wounds. You let yourself grieve, because grief is not weakness, it is testimony that you love deeply. Tears are not a betrayal of strength, they are the cleansing of the soul. But you do not drown in them. You cry until the weight lifts, then you rise. You sit in the silence of your own company and learn to enjoy it. You take yourself on walks, you write your own words, you sing your own songs, you fill the empty spaces with your own presence. Slowly the emptiness begins to fade, and in its place, you discover parts of yourself you had neglected while pouring so much into another. Loving yourself after heartbreak means forgiving yourself, not for the love you gave, but for the moments you abandoned yourself while giving it. It means forgiving yourself for ignoring the red flags, for staying longer than you should have, for silencing your own voice to keep the peace. It is not about shame, it is about compassion. You did what you knew to do with the love you had at the time. Now you know better, and you will not betray yourself again. With time you realize that heartbreak is not only an ending, it is an unveiling. It reveals your strength, your resilience, your capacity to endure what felt unendurable. It teaches you that you can survive loss and still live, that you can lose love and still be loved. And when you embrace yourself with tenderness in the midst of pain, you rise more powerful than before. For the love you give yourself becomes a shield not to keep others away, but to remind you that you do not need to beg for scraps of affection. You are a feast, and anyone who comes to your table must come with respect. There will be days when the achy returns, when memories knock at the door of your mind, when you feel the sting of what was lost. On those days, speak to yourself with gentleness. Do not say, "I should be over this by now." Say, "I am healing, and healing takes time." Do not measure your progress by how quickly you forget, but by how deeply you remember yourself again. Each small step back toward your own heart is a victory worth celebrating. Loving yourself after heartbreak is not about proving you don't need anyone. It is about knowing you are already whole. It is about learning that love should never come at the cost of yourself. It is about refusing to chase those who cannot see your worth, and instead choosing to stand tall in the fullness of who you are. And when love comes again, as it always does, you will not hand over your heart as a plea, you will share it as a gift. The beauty of heartbreak is that it reminds you of your capacity to feel. And if you can feel this deeply in sorrow, imagine how deeply you can feel in joy. Imagine how radiant your love will be when it flows first to you, then outward to another. Loving yourself after heartbreak is the doorway to that joy, that radiance, that unshakable knowing that you are worthy, you are enough, and you are love itself. Heartbreak has a way of echoing, long after the moment has passed. The phone grows silent, but the silence carries its own sharpness. The rooms you once walked together now feel cavernous, even if they are small. The air remembers the laughter, the whispers, the touch, and yet they are gone, leaving you with a quiet that can feel unbearable. Many people rush to fill that silence, with noise, with distraction, with someone new. But loving yourself after heartbreak asks you not to run. It asks you to sit still. It asks you to sit with the ache until you realize the ache will not destroy you. For it is in the stillness that you begin to hear your own voice again. That voice may be shaky at first. It may be drenched in tears, choked with sorrow, worn thin by nights of questioning why. But with time it strengthens. It begins to remind you that the love you lost is not the only love that exists. It begins to remind you that the greatest love story you will ever live is the one you write with yourself. Others may enter, others may leave, but you are the only constant. You are the only one who will hold your heart from the first breath to the last. To neglect yourself is to abandon the truest companion you will ever know. To love yourself is to build a home you can never be exiled from. You see, heartbreak tries to convince you that you are broken. But you are not broken, you are opened. Your heart has been stretched, and though the stretching hurts, it allows you to hold more of yourself than you ever realized you could. Love given and lost teaches you how much capacity you have. And when you turn that capacity inward, when you pour that devotion back into yourself, you grow. You begin to stand taller, you begin to breathe deeper, you begin to live wider. Some people believe that to love yourself after heartbreak is selfish. They will tell you to move on quickly, to find someone else, to prove your worth through another's gaze. But rushing from one heart to another is not healing, it is hiding. Loving yourself is not selfish, it is survival. It is the way you gather your strength so that when you love again, you do not love from a place of need but from a place of fullness. It is the way you learn to distinguish between love that feeds you and love that drains you. It is the way you promise yourself, never again will I hand over my soul to someone who cannot hold it with care. You begin with the small things. You drink water when your body asks. You sleep when your eyes grow heavy, instead of staying up to wrestle with old memories. You feed yourself food that nourishes, not just distracts. You write down the words you are too afraid to say aloud. You remind yourself daily that healing is not linear. Some days will feel like triumph, others like defeat. But even on the hardest days you are still moving. You are still choosing yourself. And that choice, repeated over and over, is how self-love takes root. There is a temptation to believe that the love you lost was your only chance at happiness. The mind clings to the familiar, replaying what was, convincing you that nothing else could ever compare. But the truth is that what is meant for you will never leave you broken. What is true will never demand that you shrink, silence yourself, or question your worth. What is real will stand the test of time and will honor your being. So do not mourn what could have been more than you celebrate what is still possible. Heartbreak may have ended one chapter, but it has not ended your story. In fact, heartbreak often ushers in the most transformative chapters of life. It is after the loss that you discover your resilience. It is after the silence that you begin to hear your own music. It is after the collapse that you realize you are capable of building again. And when you build this time, you do not build on the shifting sands of another's approval. You build on the unshakable ground of your own love. That foundation cannot be taken from you. It cannot be abandoned. It cannot betray you. Loving yourself after heartbreak also means reclaiming your joy. For too long you may have tied your laughter to another's presence, your excitement to another's attention, your worth to another's acknowledgement. But joy is not something that belongs to someone else. Joy is yours, and it waits patiently for you to remember it. It waits in the music you once loved but stopped playing. It waits in the hobbies you abandoned to make space for another's dreams. It waits in the simple pleasures of sunlight on your skin, wind in your hair, and the quiet miracle of breath in your lungs. When you reclaim joy, you remind yourself that life is still abundant, still offering beauty, still inviting you to dance. Even if you must dance alone for now, there will be people who question your healing. They may say, "Why are you still hurt? It's been long enough." But pain is not on a timer. Healing cannot be rushed. You cannot schedule the heart's repair. So when others do not understand, remind yourself that you are not healing for them. You are healing for you. And when you heal for yourself, you heal more deeply. You heal in a way that no one else can undo. And in that healing, you discover something profound. Heartbreak did not strip you of love. It redirected it. It pointed you back to the well within you, the well that never runs dry. It reminded you that though people may leave, the love you carry for yourself remains. And when you fill that well with kindness, with patience, with tenderness. You will never be thirsty again. This self-love is not a replacement for romantic love, it is the foundation of it. For when you know how to love yourself after heartbreak, you no longer seek love to complete you. You seek love to complement you. You no longer tolerate crumbs, because you have learned to feast at your own table. You no longer stay where you are diminished, because you have learned to expand in your own light. And when love comes again, as it will, you will greet it not as a savior but as a companion. You will walk side by side, not leaning, not carrying, but standing strong together. You will find that the love you give yourself after heartbreak is not only healing. It is liberating. It liberates you from the fear of being alone, because you have discovered the richness of your own company. It liberates you from the need for validation, because you have already validated yourself. It liberates you from the chains of dependency, because you have learned that you are your own anchor. Heartbreak teaches you what you will no longer accept. Self-love teaches you what you will always demand. Together, they shape you into a person who no longer begs for love but embodies it. And that embodiment is magnetic. The world cannot help but respond to someone who knows their worth. People cannot help but notice someone who walks in the quiet confidence of self-love. And when they approach, you will not fear losing them, because you have already found yourself. So, when the nights feel long, when the loneliness presses heavy, when the past whispers its lies, remember this: you are not empty. You are growing. You are not broken. You are unfolding. You are not unloved. You are learning to love yourself in the way you always deserved. And from that place, every new love that comes will only add to your light, never take it away. There comes a time after heartbreak when the memories stop cutting like glass but linger like shadows. They rise unbidden, in the quiet of a song, in the scent of a season, in the curve of a familiar street. And in those moments it is easy to believe you are being pulled backward, that healing has abandoned you. But healing does not walk in straight lines. It circles, it spirals, it returns to test your strength. Each time the memory visits, it asks, will you collapse again, or will you stand taller this time? And each time you choose yourself, you grow steadier. Each time you refuse to let the shadow define you, you reclaim more light. Loving yourself after heartbreak does not mean erasing the past. It means weaving it into the fabric of who you are without allowing it to choke you. It means saying, yes, I was hurt. Yes, I cried. Yes, I lost. And still I rise. For rising is not denying the pain. It is acknowledging that pain does not hold the final word. The final word belongs to your resilience, to your courage, to the love you give yourself even in the ashes of what was lost. You may find that your heart grows more tender after heartbreak. Where once you gave freely without thought, now you give with intention. Where once you silenced yourself to keep another's love, now you speak your truth knowing your voice is sacred. Heartbreak sharpens your discernment. It teaches you to recognize the difference between someone who cherishes you and someone who merely uses you to quiet their own loneliness. And when you love yourself, you no longer confuse attention with affection or possession with devotion. You learn to stand in the clarity of what you deserve, and you do not bend that standard for fear of being alone. The road of self-love after heartbreak is not paved with grand gestures, it is built from small choices repeated daily. It is choosing to rest instead of running yourself into exhaustion to avoid your feelings. It is choosing to speak kindly to yourself instead of rehearsing your mistakes. It is choosing to believe in tomorrow even when today feels unbearable. Every act of care you give yourself is a brick in the foundation of your healing. And with time, that foundation grows strong enough to carry any future love without crumbling. There is a peculiar beauty in rediscovering yourself after loss. You begin to notice the things that make you smile when no one is watching. You rediscover the music that lifts your spirit, the colors that brighten your world, the passions that set your soul on fire. You remember that you are not only someone's partner, someone's lover, someone's dream. You are also your own universe, vast and infinite. And in embracing that, you begin to glow again. The glow does not come all at once. At first it flickers, like the light of a candle fighting against the wind. But as you protect it, as you nurture it, the flame steadies. Soon it becomes a fire that warms you, that guides you, that draws others not because you seek them, but because you shine. And when they come, they will see that your fire was not lit by desperation, but by devotion to yourself. Loving yourself after heartbreak also means releasing bitterness. It is tempting to carry anger like armor, to hold on to blame as if it will protect you from future pain. But bitterness is a poison you drink, hoping it will harm another. It only corrodes your own spirit. To love yourself is to put the poison down. To say, "What happened hurt me, but it will not define me." Forgiveness, then, is not for them. It is for you. It is the way you cut the chain that ties you to the past. It is the way you free your hands to hold your own heart again. Do not mistake forgiveness for reconciliation. Forgiveness does not mean you must invite those who hurt you back into your life. Forgiveness means you no longer allow them to live rent-free in your mind. It means you take back your power by refusing to replay the story on endless loop. It means you step forward, lighter, freer, more open to the love that still awaits you. Heartbreak often teaches us how fragile we feel, but self-love teaches us how resilient we are. To love yourself after heartbreak is to rise from the floor, to gather the shattered pieces, and to build something new, not the same as before, but stronger, truer, more authentic. You may carry scars, but scars are not shameful. Scars are reminders that you have survived, that you have healed, that you are still here. And each scar can become a mark of beauty if you choose to see it that way. When you finally embrace yourself again, you will notice how relationships change. You no longer beg for love, you invite it. You no longer cling to what hurts, you release it. You no longer fear endings, because you know endings do not end you. And when love comes, as love always does, it will meet a heart that is whole, not fractured, strong, not desperate, open, not empty. The journey of loving yourself after heartbreak is not only about healing from the past. It is about preparing for the future. It is about making sure that the next time love enters your life, it meets the fullest version of you. A version who no longer compromises their worth. A version who no longer confuses survival with affection. A version who no longer hands over their heart as a plea, but offers it as a gift. In this way, heartbreak can become your greatest teacher. For in losing another, you found yourself. In being abandoned, you learned never to abandon yourself again. In being unloved, you discovered the boundless love that has always lived inside you. And that love, once awakened, cannot be taken away. So let your heartbreak not be the end of your story, but the soil in which you plant the seeds of your rebirth. Let it remind you that you are not broken. You are breaking open. You are not abandoned. You are awakening. You are not empty. You are being filled with the one love that can never leave you, the love you give yourself. Stand tall in the knowledge that your worth does not depend on who stays or who goes. It lives within you, unshakable, undeniable, everlasting. Love yourself so fiercely that heartbreak becomes not a chain but a key, not a wound but a window, not an ending but a beginning. And when you rise, rise with the certainty that no one, not loss, not rejection, not pain, can take away the love that you have chosen to crown yourself with.